that were in the pros, like Larry Bird.
Oh
He's now considered overrated
God.
by these little chump kids of this
These
generation.
little chumps.
And
Listen, man.
you know, we got the round table here. I don't know if anyone's gonna agree with this Larry Bird overrated thing. I don't want to flip a coin. I don't know who wants to go first. But I'm gonna gather my thoughts as one of you guys.
Well, can we see a little bit of the video? Please put that up there. Please. Just for the people, man. Oh my God.
It's so bad, y'all. It's so bad.
Hey, Flea, I'm being honest. If this might have happened 15 years ago, them guys might have needed security to walk around with, bro.
Now that's a fact. That's a fact. That's a fact, though.
Hey, Dom, listen, let me tell you something. We love Larry Bird, bro. Like
the culture. The culture.
Yes, listen, we
like the
love
culture.
Larry Bird. And when you hear all the stories about him, when you hear the Hall of Fame speeches, when guys was saying, I forgot the man's name, when he was like, yo, man, you just kept hearing about Bird. And he was like, yo, I can't wait to play against his brother. Come to find out he was white. So, yeah, please play the video. Play the video, please. Please. Parental discretion is advised. This might have somebody hurt.
That was Cornbread Maxwell, too.
Thank you, Flea. Big shout, Cornbread. Let's go.
Not play high-level basketball for any extended period of years. In contrast to a lot of other players in the top 10, he over-relied on another ball handler to really bring the ball up and initiate offense. When he was the one who was attempting to initiate offense or create his own shot, create separation, he couldn't do that against more athletic forwards such as Bobby Jones. He struggled immensely in that. There's several articles pointing out that was his weakness. When you watch him play early on, that was clearly his weakness as well. So he had to wait until Kevin McHale really emerged as a player. They brought in Dennis Johnson. They had even more three-point shooting than Danny Ainge, and still had a really good defensive big inside in Robert Parrish, just for him to emerge as a peak quality player, where he's putting up production and impact across the board that other players like Kobe Bryant can put up while playing next to Smush Parker and Kwame Brown. Let's be for real. That is not serious, bro. I don't care what y'all say about him. He's not top 10, bro. That is not top 10. That man did not play.
Can I please go first?
It's hard for me to take, basketball talk and knowledge from dudes that look like Lil Rel. Like, that's bad. That's bad. That's really, really bad. Right? I'm gonna go first. We ain't even got to flip a coin. I'm gonna go first because that just didn't sit well with me. First, hold on a second.
That just hurt my stomach. Go ahead. Oh my God.
There's no way, right? Like, if you have a valid argument for why Larry Bird is outside your top 10, cool. We can have a conversation about it. Like, right outside. We're not gonna talk this outside the top 20. But if he's like right outside of your top 10, cool. Let's have a debate. Let's talk about it. Cool. But it almost seemed like that young man was offended at the fact that Larry Bird is in everybody's top 10, which is just flat out wrong. Larry Bird is a top 10 player. Let's get into why. Larry Bird gets drafted by the Boston Celtics. When he's drafted by that franchise won 22 games the year prior. He gets drafted. They have a 40-game swing and win 62 games the following year. The following year, they win 62 games, all because they draft Larry Bird. Find me another swing from the loss column to the wins column in NBA history. Go find me a bigger one than that. I couldn't even find one. If anybody else can find one, please find it for me. The impact that he had on that franchise, right? And already a historic franchise, but the impact that he had for playing with them. This guy was 24, 10, and 5 for a career. Not a lot of guys are able to do that. Pass the ball, shoot the ball, basketball IQ, 6'10", could defend as well, right? Like, we got to stop acting like Larry wasn't like that. And then he had that shit in his game too, right? He had that shit, right? That sauce. Everybody ain't got that shit in that sauce in the game. he had that with him, right? So when he's going on the floor up against a James Worthy, James, you got nothing for me. When he's going up against a guy like Bobby Jones, you got nothing for me. When he's going up against a guy like Dr. J want to punch me in the face because I'm kicking his ass. Like, let's stop with this. Larry Bird is outside of the top 10. I'm gonna turn the volume down now. Let my brothers jump into this, but that was just a bad take. It's just irresponsible to jump out there and say Larry Bird is not a top 10 all-time player. It's just a bad take.
Well, let me go next. I'm gonna respond to the video. For one, he tried to break down. It was a terrible take, because for one, the way he tried to break it down was just horrific. For you to say that he needed help, he needed this and all this and that, everybody does. Let's go back to Larry Bird, Indiana State. Let's not forget that. The battles with Magic. Let's not forget that. Let's not forget he gets to the league. Let's not forget he's not athletic. He's always had a bad back. Let's not forget none of that stuff. But still was able to do what he wanted on the court. When you have Hall of Fame legends that we all bow down to, talk about Larry Bird. It's not a hoax. You don't win MVP back to back to back. You don't win 3 championships. You don't win finals MVPs. You don't show up at the 3-point contest with your warm-up jacket on and say, who's second? Who's coming in second place? How is that overrated? Michael Jordan never beat him in the playoffs at all. If I'm not mistaken, do Michael Jordan have a playoff win against Larry Bird?
No.
I don't believe so.
No, Michael Jordan is the GOAT. This is against Larry Bird. So for him to try to put extra sauce on Robert Parrish, which these guys is great, Dennis Johnson, guys is great. But don't do that. This was a take, and I'm disappointed in them guys. If I was to ever meet them or see them, I would tell them, I like y'all guys. I'm disappointed. Y'all either had nothing to talk about or you looking for numbers, because there's no way in the world you believe that. No way in the world. I'm being calm because I really want to go crazy. But Larry Bird is not overrated. Larry Bird is in my top 5. I have no problem, like you said, arguing for him to be top 10 because of guys like Dr. J, Kevin Durant, some other small forwards. But to literally say he's overrated and try to make a case for it, but don't bring up nothing else, like that case he tried to make was terrible. I don't even know what he was talking about. So for me, horrific. Larry Legend is arguably 1 or 2 small forwards of all time. Whether you got him or LeBron, to me, you can't go wrong. I don't understand how that's overrated. I'm sorry. That was a horrific take, and they can kiss my ASS. That's a fact.
Fabian, I
No.
mean, they mainly talked about how great Larry is, but do you have something specific to, the stuff he was saying to come back at?
Specifically the Bobby Jones thing was crazy. I think I can see why, like AllBall is saying, like they're only doing that because it's gonna piss people off. Like I really love basketball, bro. Like, I really love basketball. Like, I was just telling AllBall this yesterday or this morning. Like I remember just being a quiet kid, and the only thing that would get me talking in school was we would argue about basketball. Mm-hmm. Like really, so like Larry Bird earned his name. Like, see, these people, legend and winning, their name is Legend, dog. Like, he's a real legend. Larry Bird would slap the shit out of you.
That's Larry Legend.
Larry Legend will slap fire out of you. Like, and we were all like, you kind of deserve that. We wouldn't even like hesitate. We'd be like, yeah, you kind of deserve that violence towards you. I think the way everyone talks about him, they're spooked by Larry Bird. There was no, and Bobby Jones. You bring up Bobby Jones, like Bobby Jones is like some average. No, Bobby Jones might be like the Kawhi Leonard of his time. We just want to talk about this the other day. Big hands, athletic, will block you at the rim. What are you talking about? You think Bobby Jones?
Not the Kawhi Leonard when he became a superstar.
No, I'm saying defensively. Defensively, because again, I think where people get messed up is that, bro, anybody, the whole conflict is it's tough to compare eras because, things change. But at the end of the day, You can't take away Steph from being Steph in this era. He's Steph Curry. He earned his name. So in this era, he's Steph Curry. Now we play around and see if he was in the 80s. This what happened. Larry Bird didn't bring the ball up. Okay. You don't talk about his 10, 11 rebounds a game. You don't talk about 40% from three at any given time. 29 points a game, 29 and 10. The next person that kind of reminds me of Larry Bird is like Peter Stojakovic, who didn't really handle the ball either. Step back. There was nothing you could do about him, up and under. How the hell are you gonna say he waited for teammates to get great when Flea just said it was like a 32 win turn? He has the biggest
40
win.
a 40 win turnaround from 22 to 62.
It was 22 games they won the year before.
22 games to 62 wins the next
40,
year,
bro.
You gotta be kidding me.
Yeah,
Like,
that's insane.
nobody did this ever. They sucked. It was an old Dave Cowens, an old Tiny Archibald, an old Pete Maravich. He did not wait to get great. He was busting people's ass from the beginning of time. And remember, it's a white dude. It's a white guy coming in there. You know he's being targeted. It's just like Eminem. For people that understand, I don't even know who you can compare him to right now, because everybody could do anything now and they could get away with it. Larry Bird was in the Lions Den every time he was on the court until they said, "Damn, the highlights are not fake." I think this Legend of Winning dude, I actually like. There's a Kobe Bryant video that he has that's amazing. That's amazing. But Larry Legend fits. He's another one of the guys like Steph Curry, another one of these guys. You can plug him into any team in history, and he fits.
Any team in any era. You know, he can do
Any era.
He can do the
I totally agree
on top
with
of the ball handle, and he can do the modern day kind of stuff.
You telling me Sabonis is averaging 14, 15 rebounds a game, and Larry Bird can't play? Because Sabonis brings the ball up a little bit. He ain't crossing nobody up. You think Larry Bird can't bring? There's just so many. He can play a stretch 5, a stretch 4. His game translates. I don't know what people see, because I really believe this guy when he's saying that. I don't want to go too far, come like the Black Peter Griffin or something like that. But he deserves these name calling when you talking about Larry. Get the fuck out of here, Larry Bird. Like talking like that, like nah, because Larry's not gonna come out here and talk his shit. Because if he did, he would flame you. Because we've seen it with countless guys, Jerry West, all these guys, Rick Barry.
I'm almost happy that Larry doesn't say anything, because he would really be out here just talking crazy if he wanted.
No. Hold on. I'm sorry.
I wanted to say something.
No, I'm sorry. I'll leave it with this, Dom. When Larry Bird does talk, like he did at the Hall of Fame, whenever it was, he bigs up the era. He goes, "Yo, I'm proud of this era. I'm very happy that we left it in the hands of these guys. I got the utmost respect for them, and they took it to another level. I can't do what they do." That's what he says.
Yeah, he gives him too much credit. He's like, "Bro, come on, I want cocky Larry Bird back."
But see, here's the thing, real quick, before Dom goes on the Larry Bird topic. A lot of the guys from the era that coached in the league, or like were GMs, or just had their hands in the league, really, they pay a lot of homage to these young guys, right? The ones that are like removed, that don't really have their hand in it. That's where you see a lot of the hate coming from, right? You hear Isaiah Thomas. Isaiah Thomas was a coach, GM, owner. He loves this era. He talks nothing but high praise for this era. Larry Bird, the same way. Hell of a coach in Indiana. Hell of a coach, right? Like the ones that were really close to the game after they left it, they don't talk that shit about this era. The ones that's away from the game and don't really watch it, are not really in tune, don't know who Zubac is, right? They don't know who Zubac is, but they talk a lot about these guys just to talk. But go ahead, Dom.
Man, I think people in my generation, I think they have this thing about like trying to accuse older people of having a nostalgic bias with certain names, and Larry Bird is one of them. And they want to, like, because there's so many resources we have now, like some advanced stats, and then obviously all the footage that we have on YouTube, and they try to use this to like almost like have like a confirmation bias watching it to try to make some big point that these guys are overrated and that a so-and-so modern player is better than them. And Larry Bird, I guess it's like this. I think a lot of people in history would take Larry Bird over Kobe, and I know Legend of Winning is a Kobe guy. He's a Laker fan, and I know he's more of a Kobe fan than LeBron. So I think what inspired him, this is my opinion, I have no idea what inspired him to go on that tirade about Larry Bird, but I think it's because people have argued with him that Bird is better than Kobe, and I think that's why he mentioned Kobe in that clip. And look, I've had that argument with people before, and I think you can go either way with it. I think they're both incredible. But the stuff he was saying was just, so going back to Flea's point, if you want to make a case that Bird isn't top 10, then that's fine with me. But it should be more about how great other players are and what you value more about that player than Larry Bird. All this stuff he was saying, like, yeah, you mentioned it, Fabian. He didn't need to wait on Mikhail to emerge. He won a championship with Mikhail as a rookie. So that was bullshit. The whole thing about bringing up the ball, why would he bring up the ball when Tiny Archibald and Dennis Johnson are doing that? And plus, like, that wasn't something that a bunch of forwards did. Like, yeah, so because LeBron does it, you want Larry Bird to do it? Like, Larry Bird doesn't need to push the ball into half court. There's plenty of games you can watch where Larry Bird gets a rebound and he's looking to push right away. You feel me? That's important to have the ability to do that. And this stuff about Bobby Jones, like, yeah, I love that that's the name he used. A guy that's nicknamed the Secretary of Defense, a guy that I've actually watched tape of. Yeah, was going above the rim, getting blocks, taking charges. Like, he's really good. So, like, using him as some example. And then that comment he made about athletic small forwards, I was saying this in the pre-production, but I watched a game, and I'll admittedly say I haven't gotten to the 80s yet, so I haven't watched a ton of full games of Larry. But I did watch one game of the conference finals his rookie year against Philly, and they won the game. It was game 2, and Larry was killing Dr. J, man. And Doc was blocking people with no running start on vertical. Like, he was straight up blocking fools on vertical, just 2 feet up in the air, sending shit to the crowd. But not against Bird. Bird was hitting him with the up and unders, the pump fakes. Like, to say that Larry Bird struggled so much against athletic forwards, like, I would assume the games that he struggled, he would have an athletic, bigger forward guarding him. Because, like, what's your alternative? Like a slower, smaller forward? Like, I don't know what you're saying. But he played against Dominique Wilkins, who's one of the more athletic players ever, not just forwards. Gave him, 47 points in a game 7.
Barbecue chicken.
You mentioned James Worthy, one of the greatest athletes to run the floor in the history of basketball. I mean, James Worthy says he was getting cooked. Michael Cooper is a great athlete. He also said,
yes.
This whole thing about athletic forwards, like, I don't. That was a crazy point to me. And then the last thing I'll say is, why did he mention that Kobe Bryant put up the same amount of production with Smush Parker and them? Because Kobe's stats are more like 30 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists kind of thing. Like, that's his, and good defense. Larry Bird is more like a 25, 10, and 7 guy, right? He's more like, Larry Bird's stats look more like LeBron's stats than Kobe's stats, right?
Right.
I don't know what his point was about that he did the same production, because Kobe got off in 2006, but they lost in the first round. Like, Larry Bird was going to championships because he had better teams. So I don't understand what his point was there. And then to say he didn't have a greater stretch of dominance as other players. 3 straight MVPs, 2 finals MVPs in 3 years, 3 straight championship appearances, while averaging damn near a triple-double. Like, what more do you want? I don't. And everyone is getting better. Everyone is getting maximized. So, yeah, I don't know, man. I really don't get it. That was just a minute of bad dialogue.
Just real quick, did you hear the story with Jamal Mashburn about Larry Bird? Like, so
he was giving him the business in the Dream Team camp. I saw that.
Come on, man. So it's just like I said, certain players, I get it. Certain players, I don't. That take about Larry Bird, it was just bad. It was just bad. And sometimes you got to be smarter than that. Like I don't care. You can have the laptop in front of you. You can sound as articulate as you want to. I don't care about none of that. That was a bad take. Yeah. You can't make an argument for him being overrated, whether I'm a fan or not. You can't.
Well, okay. What if his argument is? Let me see if I can play devil's advocate for a sec. What if his argument is that Larry Bird's overrated because, in his opinion, he's not a guaranteed top 10 guy like a lot of people try to put him in? Because a lot of what you guys are saying, and like AllBall and Flea, like a lot of it, all of it is facts, right? But these kids, because I know how they be thinking. These kids, they have so many stats at their disposal. They just love using that to, like, almost like they're making a legal court case. And this is their proof. to prove it to you. As opposed to AllBall says he fucks with Larry Bird more than Kobe because he's a better passer. He likes the all-around player more. Okay, fine by me. Sometimes it's that simple. Sometimes it's really preference with these guys. Flea says he likes Kobe because one-on-one, you cannot stop him from getting anywhere to his shot, to his spot, best contested shot maker. That's fine with me. But I feel like with these people, they like all the stuff you're saying, like the three-point shootout thing, like the killer instinct, like Jamal Mashburn's story. To them, they say that's player testimonials. That doesn't affect what I think about his production on the court. That's what they be saying. They don't give a fuck about the stories. But like that, I think my generation doesn't understand that like sports is emotional as well. It's between human beings, not robots on a paper. So like the intimidation factor and confidence that Larry Bird had, what players say about him, it fucking matters what they say because they played against him. That's all I got.
There was a take back in the day from Jalen Rose, and Jalen Rose was going back and forth with Skip Bayless back in the day, and Skip, and he basically forget the insults that he was throwing at Skip. He basically said to Skip, like, point guard, shooting guard, small forward, power forward, center. These positions were made for people like you who don't, one, play the game, and two, who don't really understand the game, right? A lot of basketball purists, like the four of us on this screen, could say fuck the stats and sit down and watch a basketball game and figure out of the 10 guys on the floor, who's the best, who's not, and we can rank them by just watching. Straight eye test, right, too? Right, Dom? Right, Fabe?
Yep.
Like, straight eye test, right? Fuck the stats. We don't want to hear about that shit. Now, when the stats matter, right, in conversation, they matter, but to piggyback off what Dom is saying, this generation, that's all that matters, right? That's the only paintbrush they use to paint the picture is the stats. And it's a shitty picture because there's so much more that goes into basketball and knowing the game and watching the game and knowing when I'm on the screen or I'm at the gym or I'm at the park and I know what I'm watching. I know what I see.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, we got to stop this, Bird averaged 21 points a game and shot 35% against the Bucks. There was a series against the Bucks that Boston got swept, right? Because this is what they'll reach for, too. They'll reach for the lowest moment in their career to make the point when, let's talk about the 86 run. Let's talk about the run when they beat the Lakers in the playoffs. Let's talk about the 2 times they beat the Rockets in the finals. Let's talk about not allowing Moses Malone to win a championship that year when they beat him. Like, let's talk about that type of shit. We talk about when they failing or their lowest moment. Bird was the shit. I don't want to hear the shit no more. Bird was the shit.
But hold on, Faye.
And I ain't grow up with him.
But real quick, Faye, for you, I just want to say this. Anytime you're in the conversation, forget top 10. Anytime you're in the conversation of top 20 of the greatest basketball players you've ever seen, you cannot be overrated. I don't care what nobody say. You may have some people that have him in top 5, top 10, top 15, top 20. Hear what I'm saying. If you're in conversation for a top 20 basketball player of all time that a person's ever seen, it's no way in the world you're overrated. It's no way in the world.
Most people, though, I would say, have Larry Bird at least, even the haters one, in the top 15.
Right, that's what I'm saying, Don.
But do you think he's saying he's overrated because he thinks that a lot of people say he's top 10, no questions asked?
Well, hold on, Fabe. Let me real quick. I'm sorry. Once again, what these guys is doing is they're watching today's game and they're basing everything on today. So you got to remember, back in them days, man, I'm gonna keep saying the big shout out Keith Claus, who played for the Clippers. He tells us all the time. The coach will tell you what you can and cannot do. So back in them days, imagine Larry Bird. Remember that those positions. Prime example, Karl Malone. You run down and you get in the post. That's it. You ain't dribbling the ball. You ain't showing your package. You couldn't do that. That was forbidden. So to try to make a case for some of the things Larry Bird didn't do, it's not that he couldn't do it. It wasn't you couldn't do it. It's just a bad take.
And it'd be crazy. It'd be crazy to think about. Well, what is exactly didn't he do? Because if I watch Bird, I feel like he did everything.
Fabian, real quick, you can go. But how long we been saying when people with huge platforms start doing clickbait, it's nasty out here, man.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Fabe. It's nasty.
I'm okay with that because I think it creates this, and I like to clap back. Or I would love him to clap back at us, say something. I would love it because we would tear his ass up. But the number one thing for me is I hear you guys speaking, and I'm like, there's no way they even watch basketball, today's basketball. It's impossible.
But we know they do.
No, they do not. I
don't know, Dom. I don't know.
They're
got
watching the
Legend of Winning
game.
definitely watches today's basketball.
Analytical.
Exactly. And that's number one, analytical. And where do you have to watch?
Daryl Morey not watching basketball games. Bet that. Go ahead. Again, I don't care what anybody says. If I'm at a concert, I'm not pulling my phone out. I hate taking pictures because it takes away from the moment. There's no way you're not trying to capture the game. You're trying to say some slick shit and respond to what you're seeing on TV. You understand? Like, this era is it's like the best and the worst era combined, and it's so hard. It's funny because we're still human. Because now you really ain't the real people that watch basketball, you know who they are. Even in this era, you got the phone in your hand while watching the game. You're not watching the game. How the fuck are you tweeting and watching the game?
What about commercial breaks? That's what I try to do.
Listen, you're not watching the game. You're not getting a feel for the game. You're not. That's what makes it. You can see when the coach is calling a good timeout. You can tell it's a feel for the game. We always talk about that. That's number one for me. I doubt that they're watching those games and today's game. And if you're going back to watch the older games, you're doing it with an angle. Like I'm going in there.
That's what I was saying. That's what I was saying in the beginning. Watching games with a kind of just try to find evidence to make a point that I'm already thinking of.
And the other thing
is overrated.
All they do is watch YouTube clips and Twitter clips. That's all they're doing, because you can't tell me Kyrie Irving's on this level, even Kobe Bryant. Those kind of guards, and Jordan is the exception. He made it cool, but he really was a ball hog, right? But he kind of had to learn how to play in the flow of an offense. Larry Bird never had to learn how to do that. He was the flow. He's in flow. So he never forced anything. You know what I'm saying? Like that to me is the part that's like, it don't make Joker is in the flow of an offense. These kind of players are different. Magic, there's a flow to the offense. The perimeter players that force their game, it's hard to even compare them to this, in my opinion. And the other thing is, who the fuck are these athletic forwards that are gonna guard Larry Bird in this era? Who?
Mikal Bridges, Andrew Wiggins.
Oh, okay. God.
I got
big shout out to Shaq.
Plenty of guys,
barbecue chicken.
There's plenty of guys that would jump out there, but I don't think. Like, I think
Flea, he gonna beat him with this,
and that's where I was headed to.
They filing out. That's where I was
headed to. I think what's never talked about with Larry Bird is his footwork. His footwork was so head and shoulders better than guys at his position at that time, right? Everybody that played that position, maybe I'll start some shit, but I would argue that Larry Bird's footwork was better than Dr. J. Just as a basketball player catching the ball and in triple threat, who am I afraid of? That's gonna make the pass, that's gonna make the move, that's gonna make the shot. Is it Bird or is it Dr. J? Again, that's not a slight at Dr. J. I'm just trying to say that Larry Bird's footwork was so elite that it doesn't get talked enough about, and why that's a big reason why his game was just so, like, you couldn't do nothing with him. This dude went into a game and told his teammates, hey, I'm playing the game left-handed tonight. I'm going into Portland tonight and I'm playing the game left-handed.
Come on, bro.
Every shot was taken left-handed.
Come on, bro.
Every shot was taken left-handed. Like,
Yo, Flea, as you're talking, I'm thinking to myself, his footwork is immaculate, and you're allowed to travel now? Imagine him with a James Harden step back. Are you crazy?
Oh, man.
But
what are you talking about? I need to bring the ball up. Shut the hell up, Legend. Legend is a bum. That was a stupid ass take, bro.
But and Dom, but also because you watch, remember, you go back in your vaults. Remember how physical the game was back then?
I haven't gone to the 80s though like that.
No, all right. So, but I mean,
but it is more physical than now.
Bro, them guys was getting clotheslined. Them guys was getting snuffed. Like, it was physical. Imagine Larry Bird today. Are you kidding me?
He would love it.
That's it.
I said,
Bro.
yeah, go ahead. I said I
No,
saw
no,
a
no,
clip
go
one
ahead.
time. No, I saw a clip one time, and it's one of those clips you just don't see ever because it was randomly in a game. I wasn't watching the game, but I think I found the game on YouTube and I was adding it to like a playlist or something. And the clip that was being shown, like just the play that was happening, Bird ripped through, just like Flea was saying, a triple threat, ripped through baseline, and Lambeer and Mahorn both just came down on his head, like, and
And he got up and threw the ball at Rodman.
not that one. This one
okay,
I've
that's
never
different.
seen before.
Okay.
It wasn't one that we see ever because he literally just got him. He was on the floor, just got up and walked to the foul line, like as if nothing happened. It's like, bro, somebody would have gotten ejected for that today. Like.